Hey! Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast, episode 145. Welcome back, Sarah Kane.
Thank you.
Cheers across the way. We got some carbless and some bubbly today. Hydrating always. Well, welcome back. I think you were here,
Thanks.
I would say, 2023. I would say a lot has changed since then, yes?
A lot has changed.
How much we changed, and then your department alone. I guess for those that don't know you, or maybe didn't listen back then to your last episode, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Drexel.
Sure. So, like she said, my name is Sarah, and I have been here for almost 11 years. So, yeah, this January will be 11 years.
Wow.
I started off in cabinetry. So I was doing that for quite a while before the virtual design department kind of got kicked off. Before jumping on the virtual design team, I did res design for a few months just to get my feet wet with the programs. And then jumped on board with the virtual design team. At that time, it was Amber and myself as the virtual designers here. And since then, we have evolved to me taking the leadership position with the department.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we have hired 3 new virtual designers that actually are finishing boot camp tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that feel to kind of go from being the player, and I guess how that has evolved into coaching and being the leader now?
Yeah, it has been. I think what's most beneficial is I understood the day-to-day prior to jumping into the leadership position. So when it came to, understanding struggles or things that we need to work on, I could use my ability and what I already knew to benefit the team.
For sure.
So even with boot camp, I was able to pretty much, walk them all through beginning to end, what we do, why we do it, and how we do it.
Yeah.
Which was, super beneficial. It has been a little bit different not having day-to-day in the programs or meeting with clients, but overall, it's been great watching everyone kind of flourish into their own, design vibe.
For sure. Yeah, that's really rewarding, and like you said, to be able to relate and say, I've been here, guys or gals,
totally.
This is all good, right? How do you, I guess, with this team growing, evolving, and now through the boot camp experience, kind of maintaining that quality, that same experience as the team grows?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that kind of goes into that question. So now that we've switched gears on the merchant team and what they are providing for Drexel as a company to sell, it has actually made our job easier because we're able to, in our program, create the materials that they're making sure are stocked for us. So it's streamlining our process quite a bit. So then when it comes to, growing and teaching new team members, it's not as much of wild west as it was before, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
It's a lot more, streamlined. We have enough training on the different products and items, and it just makes it a lot easier to stay consistent from one location to another, especially because we do a lot of work share as well. So up until this point, it's been myself, Amber, and Lindsay in Berlin who have been doing the design. So we've been, Columbus, Wrightstown, we've been working with builders at all different locations. So I think because we started that way, we have such a consistent process and procedures that it was almost easy to teach at the boot camp, because it's no, this is how we've done it to make it streamlined and to make it, as quick as possible. As they start their journeys.
For sure, yeah. Set them up for success,
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
Have you guys kind of worked through, some goals moving forward, kind of what's the vision as you roll out of boot camp?
For sure. I mean, the biggest vision for us is, number one, we're always trying to stay up to date on technology and our program that we use. Yeah. Our program is phenomenal and has had amazing updates in the past couple years to focus a little bit more on architecture versus gaming, I would say. But also focusing on sales. I think now that we're going to have boots on the ground at each location, we're going to be able to really flourish with building relationships with builders as well as our teammates. Because we have a lot of QBs that work here, and when it was 3 of us, it was really hard to be able to develop those relationships and know who some people are, So it'll be really great to be able to, have a designer at all locations. Currently, Columbus is the one that we won't have any, but Amber is kind of handling that as well. But it'll be really good to see those relationships develop and then the sales to really start taking off.
Yeah.
We kind of did a trial run in Kiel before we decided to hire. And I was going up to Kiel and doing meetings with builders and really trying to sell the service. And then after that, it really started to grow. And then that's when we kind of developed,
now it's time.
That was the time. And it was the perfect time, to start teaching it and growing it. And now the res design team at each location is going to be able to rely on a specific virtual designer, and that relationship and the communication will just be that much better.
That's great. Wow. We've talked a lot on the podcast about, some of our mantras, kind of our focus. We have Q1 project, 1, and then we go into Project Breathe. Do you have a certain motto or mantra for the team as they're kind of coming out of boot camp? Or is it just really that, okay, let's just sharpen our skills, this iron that you're coming out with? What does that look like for you guys?
I think for us, the biggest thing as a department is we understand we don't sell a product that's tangible, like siding or lumber or flooring or cabinetry. But at the end of the day, we don't just design for the builders and clients. We also offer a value that can save them a lot of time and money in the long run. And I think once we get everyone kind of on their toes and selling it to that degree, it's going to flourish.
For sure. Is that where Joel would say it's like driving without Google Maps, or
exactly.
Just to be able to be like this, you can literally see it. And like you said, save yourself some time. I think we all live in a world where that's so valuable when you can just literally save time and headaches, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We even have some builders who have been, very consistent and valuable to us doing many of their renderings that actually will have them high-res printed out, and they'll leave them on site for their trade partners.
Oh, wow.
So that when they're coming in, if they have any questions or color locations or anything, they literally put that with their construction documents.
That's awesome. Wow. Wow. Talk to us a little bit. So one of the reasons we wanted to invite you back on too, obviously there's a lot of growth within your own role and then the team, but we asked our team members here at Drexel, what do you want to further your knowledge on? What's something you want to learn? And design came up quite a bit. Our team members are just really curious how the process works. So I'm just curious if you could kind of walk us through what that looks like from, I know you guys work in partnership with residential design, but when a customer comes in with, I don't know what it looks like these days. Is it a Pinterest board? I don't know. Walk us through that. How does that work?
Yeah, so I would say there's the ideal situation, and then there's the complex situations, which we can handle both of those. I mean, in an ideal world, somebody would have their house designed with us through residential design, and then take it from there. We would, kind of step into place when their project is about to get bid. So we kind of take up that time frame between, getting the construction documents and waiting for the bid to come back. And then at that point, we meet with the client. Primarily, we were doing virtually up to this point because we were 3 of us servicing everybody. But it has started to evolve as builders start creating packages with us where they do it with all houses. Amber has a builder that she meets with the clients in the showroom because they send every single client of theirs in there. So it's kind of evolved based on builder. And then at that point, all the pre-ideas and inspiration photos and things like that, we see a lot of Pinterest, which in the past it used to be, I would say Pinterest is a love-or-hate in some elements, right?
Yes.
But now we're at the point where we have what's called, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole now, but anyways, so we have what's called a consultation guide that we send up to the client prior to meeting with us. And it has, your exterior and your interior tabs, and then it has all the rooms that they want to see furnished. And in there, we ask them to paste different inspiration pictures. And then during the meeting, we can talk as you can see this picture of a kitchen, but do you like the floor? Do you like the backsplash? Do you like the cabinetry?
So much,
right.
Think about it, right?
Right. Pinterest can get overwhelming, and what do I actually like in this picture? So it has actually benefited us in this, and we joke around. We almost want somebody to be really Pinterest heavy before they meet us, because it's a lot less stressful then. We're okay, we have some ideas of what they like.
What we're walking into.
So we do see a lot of that, I would say, in both scenarios. Now, the other scenario is if a builder does not draw with us, we are still able to do renderings for them. There's just a little bit more hoops we have to cross with, copyright releases, having it redrawn by one of our designers. And then it would be the same process after that, where we would either meet with the builder or the client. We are actually getting a lot more current homes that are built where people are coming in and let's say they want to reside or something. And the QB will reach out to us and be Mr. and Mrs. Smith have their current house, they want to reside. How long would it take for you guys to render this? So then just with looking up their address, we're able to kind of see okay, it would take us about approximately this long for the rendering portion, and then communication and stuff obviously added on to that, but we are able to service different entities like that. I even had one a couple years ago where somebody was redoing all of the flooring in their main level. They had carpet, tile, all different floors, and they were putting in one of our LVPs. And I was able to, draw that up for them and kind of show them the different ways that they could do their flooring and different tile options or color schemes. So we are there's not one size fits all.
No.
We can really customize it for whoever, whatever they need. Some builders have packages set up where they do one front elevation rendering, and then they'll do the interior main spaces, which is your foyer, great room, kitchen, dining, unfurnished, because they just want to showcase, the materials that are going to be put in the house. And then sometimes clients add on wanting to see furniture. So, we just kind of, we bill by the hour. So as much as the client wants to see and what they want to pay is what we're willing to do.
I love seeing the renderings that come through on communities, our internal communication, and it's so fun. I grew up watching HGTV, and so I'm let me just take a peek at what this looks like, and it's so fun. I'm just very proud of what we're able to do, and you guys should be really proud too. You gave a kind of example of something you've done already. Is there any other examples of kind of where you started a project and it completely took a 180 turn?
We have had a few where we've done quite a few options for them. I mean, we had one client where we probably did over 60 exterior front elevation options. And I mean, they wanted to see them. So, we were more than willing. We do sometimes run into the situation with if we're not the ones that draw the plan and then they want something changed, and you have to kind of deflect back on we're not the architect who drew it or the designer. So the communication sometimes gets a little tricky, I would say, depending on the intricacies of who's all working on the project. But otherwise, you do have some people who don't exactly know what they want. So then you're showing things a million different ways, which
just kind of your ideal and your not so ideal.
Exactly. and it's, in my mind, and how I view that is at the end of the day then, though, when they do get to meeting with the QB, then at least the QB isn't running around in circles trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
So it's they're paying us for our time, we might as well.
100%. And that's the communication and how we all work together and support each other, and that's a lot of hands in there, but that's to take care of the builder and support them. That's great. Cool. Anything else? I guess I'm curious too, how long, I'm sure by the scale of the project and how much of the home you're doing, how long does that usually take? And then if you're work sharing, Or maybe you're not anymore. How long does that take?
Yeah, so typically if we're doing a front elevation of a house, we can do that in about 2 to 3 hours. Okay. So that would be we charge $100 an hour, just like the res design team. So that is really kind of like the bread and butter with everything, because that's what you're seeing at, different builders associations, realtors, online you're seeing that front elevation. So we can typically get that done that quickly.
Yeah. Impressive.
And then when it comes to like a full exterior, I would say typically like 6 to 8, depending on how wild it is and how big it is. And then when you get inside, unfurnished main spaces, probably, I don't know, 8 hours ish. Don't quote me on that. And then furnished kind of takes it to a different level depending on what. Because sometimes people are like, I just want to see a dining room table to see how many family members I can fit there. And if that's the only thing we're showing, it's going to be a lot quicker than just filling the whole space. So, but then we do have clients who are like, I have this bear mount, I have this swordfish mount, I have this many deer, all of these goats that are going to be up on this big rock, and they want to see it because they're designing the house to fit that. So I mean, we're able to show what they want.
My he's got a deer right now in a place I would not recommend. That would have came in real handy. I'm like, could we just see it over there? That would be in the basement. No. I totally get it. That's fun. Well, talk to us about your new technology, your new software, and how new is that, and kind of those new features.
Yeah, so we work in Twinmotion, which is a program that is designed by Epic Games, who they're the head company for Fortnite.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of people know what that is. I've tried to play it one time and it didn't go well, it's more so just kind of that seeing what it's all about because I use Twinmotion kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So with how Twinmotion originally, kind of started, it's a great rendering software, but it had a lot of stuff that had to do with video games, not necessarily architecture. So as the years have gone on, and this new update that we got for this year, so they typically do an update every year. So we have the latest 2025 version, and this version is much heavier on architecture, lighting, making things look more realistic, more entities in it that, I know one of the things, if the res designers are watching this and listening,
shout out.
Kevin Soik specifically, they would laugh at what our grass used to look like in the renderings. And now in the new, because either we put the grass in and it looked like it was months overdue to get mowed, or it was super flat and looked terrible. So we chose the super flat so it wasn't distracting. But now the new Twinmotion has a 3D grass element that it's literally click and grab and drop, and it just drops on all of your ground. So it's come a long way with how it performs. We're still kind of working through the kinks, we're not necessarily IT gurus on it, and I think a lot of the people who are European based, because that's where a lot of the design happens.
For sure.
So we actually recently, there is a guy, I wrote his name down, Lorenzo Bonche. We call him Twinmotion Guru. That's what he goes by online. And we had watched his YouTube videos for a while to try to figure out different entities and stuff. And in the past couple months, he came out with a program that you could purchase, and then it's literally from beginning to end on how to do things for our purpose, for architecture, for interiors, exteriors. So that has been a game changer for us, because for the longest time we were kind of just, YouTube, teach yourself, because that's kind of what the world is, right?
100%.
They don't teach this program in schools. They teach Revit to an extent, but not enough to dive into and figure it out. So we have learned a lot from him already. There's been a couple times where Amber, Lindsay, and myself look at each other and we're like, we've been doing it this for so long, and that's what we could have done. So he's helped us tremendously with our efficiencies and why things are happening. And we also we're such nerds, but we are pretty our algorithms on social media they know what we do, obviously.
Of course they do. Yep.
So we see a ton of stuff related to interior design, twin motion, renderings, things like that. And we're on quite a bit of, we're on a specific forum just for twin motion.
Oh, very good.
So when people are having like
Yep.
issues or just showcasing different renderings and what like settings they had things at, that's been super helpful.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes at night I just like catch myself, like I'll screenshot it and send it to Amber and be like, oh my gosh, look at this rendering. This is how easy it was.
Yeah.
And I think in the past couple of months especially, we have, you know, created so much more realistic renderings and much more efficiently.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I would say in the past year, between the merchants and our stocked items and being able to create those materials just for us, and then the changes in twin motion, I feel like we're finally starting to kind of get in a groove of like, okay, this is how we're gonna you know, get these out.
For
you
sure.
know,
that's so funny you mentioned like the IT, you know, no IT guru here, not, you know, not like the nerd building across the way here, but I don't even know what it was for, but I'm like, I'm not going to ask them. They're very helpful, okay? Shout out to the IT team. But I'm like, I can do this. I can be resourceful. And like, a little YouTube video here. I was just like in our Paylocity, and I just went to the knowledge base and looked something up. I'm like, I can do this. You know, there's a YouTube video for it. There's a conversation with Gemini. Like,
for sure.
Figure it out, you know? And so good on you guys.
Well, and for us too, it's like we don't, like our IT department has been phenomenal with helping us figure out like newer things with twin motion and stuff, but like that's not something that they would know necessarily either, right?
For sure.
So it's really been a big undertaking to keep improving our quality and to keep learning it. So that's like one of my things that, you know, ever since stepping into this leadership role that I've really enjoyed is being able to like kind of help them troubleshoot and figure out how can I export quicker? How can I do these things quicker? And
that's the beauty of kind of like take yourself just a little bit outside of it.
Totally.
For sure.
And I've been really loving that.
And that really kind of speaks to our value of teamwork too, that, you know, now it's not just you, Amber, and Lindsay, you know, now you have, you know, this bigger team that can really support each other and help with those things, you know, and I had read your nominations too for your team members too, so it's really cool to see like, you know, where, you know, this one shines and, you know, Lindsay like looking up, you know, for efficiencies and stuff. Yeah, I'm like, that's great. Like it's just the beautiful thing when you can all work like that and somebody can step up and be like, I got this, you know.
It's so great. And now that we've added 3 more to the team, I mean, so I would say Amber for us, she is like the best at creating materials that look the most realistic, and her eye is like so sharp when it comes to that. Especially when you have clients who are looking at like 2 shades of a siding that are like so similar. It's like, okay, we got to make sure that these look a little bit different. Help me. And then Lindsay is great at, you know, just evolving the knowledge and how we use things and how to make them look better. And now we have Sarah who's joining our team in Kiel, coming from exteriors, which is amazing. Shannon coming from cabinetry. And then Christine, who's will be up in Wrightstown. She comes from like an art teaching degree, so we kind of have all the entities coming together. And it's really great. Like we're all we've really learned how to work virtually too with one another, because we've kind of been forced to with Lindsay, right? So we've gotten really good at like, hey, can you help walk me through this real quick? And we'll do a quick Google Meet, and it's made the workflow a lot quicker too.
Awesome. Cool. I guess too, we always speaking about technology and you know, working through YouTube and all that. What are your thoughts on kind of AI and where that's all going, and you know, how is it going to continue to complement what you do? And
for sure. So AI a couple months ago is a big topic for us because there's so many platforms out there that you can, you know, just submit a picture to and say, do this, right? And I went through a good month of trialing different ones, you know. I mean, it gets hard because some of them are like, you have to pay this and then you have to pay that, and it's confusing. Exactly, right? But at the end of the day, what kept coming back was our program, Twin Motion, has been created so strategically to enhance the materials that Drexel sells that when you tell AI to do something, it's not going to be 100%, right? Like, it's not going to have board and batten where it wants to be. It's not going to have lap siding where it wants to be, and that's kind of the tricky part. And we've had quite a few clients come to us after having an AI program do all of their interiors for them and still come to us and be like, we need help because the ceilings aren't correct. This is supposed to be a cathedral. This is supposed to have a tray ceiling. So we have seen things like that come about. And I think the biggest thing with AI is Twinmotion currently doesn't have AI within it. However, there are a lot of programs that designers across the world using Twinmotion use as like a third party for, hey, I need a couch that looks like this, or hey, I need something that looks like this to bring in material creation, different things like that. So I do foresee, and I've been like constantly just kind of keeping my eye on what AI programs would connect the best to enhance our workflow.
Good.
However, I don't think it's going to take over the specific role of virtual design or the role of a rendering software like Twinmotion or any of the other ones that are used, because every house is still custom, right? So our programs talk to one another. So what we're getting from Res Design looks exactly like how it would be built. So I think there's benefits to AI in the future coming for us with enhancing workflows, but I don't think it's ever going to take over what we're specifically doing, because we want to focus on what Drexel is selling.
Yes, exactly.
And unless we built out like our own big AI chatbot or whatever, it's like I don't know what that would look like.
Who knows? But I agree, like, really getting down to those workflows, efficiencies, and just enhancements, like you said. Like, there's great things with that, but how cool is it that, like, now that, the Merchant Mission, we have the products, like, you can just make it as real as possible, and, like, just the whole package.
And I think too, like the enhancements that Twinmotion has done to our program, for example, they used to not have these, so they have presets now. So when we take an image of the interior, we can just click on one of our old presets and it puts all of the levels of how we want the scene to look, lighting wise, color wise, things like that. Great. So now we're able to like save those things and just use them across the board. And that saved quite a bit of time as well, instead of having to adjust it every single time. So I think they've kind of taken the idea of different AI things, right? And put it into the program to use. But it's been Twinmotion 2025 has kind of been a game changer for us.
Wow. You're going to look back and be like, look.
Oh my gosh, we look back at our old stuff and we're like, oh my gosh, what? And another thing to kind of highlight on is in the beginning, we were doing a lot of videos, right? We were making the videos of the exterior and the interior. Well, now we've it still is an option. However, a lot of what the builders were asking us for were more of that like Matterport, where you like click on the nodes and it's like the 360 where you can move throughout. And that's been another change in the newest Twinmotion is they actually have their own built into the system. So we're actually able to create all of those nodes and produce a walkthrough for a client without having to use a third party.
Yeah, wow. Just, again, just add the little layers and the built-ins.
Exactly. And it's like Twinmotion is providing us what builders are asking us for without having to, like, search out for, like, a third-party entity. So far it's been... the stars have been aligning. This year at the expo, we plan on having one of the panoramas for clients, builders, whomever, teammates to play around with. So fun. That's been really cool.
That is great. You spoke to kind of just trying to stay on top of that, the trends, this and that. What are some resources, either yourself or for the team, that have been helpful to you, or that you're kind of, whether, I don't know if it's a book. I know last time you were here you talked about hospitality. What is that for you that's been helping you guys kind of continue to...
I think with our development days, the time that we have left over after, focusing on other entities, we really focus on studying Twin Motion Guru and watching, so I kind of pre-watch some videos, and then I'm like, guys, I think these ones would be most beneficial this week. We will do some virtual events, like we have one coming up next month with Sherwin-Williams does their like color forecast for next year.
Ooh, that's fun. That sounds really fun. I'm like all into like the color psychology.
Yes.
I'm like, give me all the vibrancy and
exactly. So that's always really good to go over because then clients start seeing that on Pinterest and Instagram and all the other platforms that like we have to have somewhat of that knowledge, so we're not like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. We've done some of the Parade of Homes. We've walked through that. And then we do, again, like Pinterest, Instagram, blogs. You kind of just have to stay current when it comes to all social media platforms. And I mean, my Instagram must know what I do because, I see like DIYs or like all the color schemes every day.
Yep, I believe it. That's great. Well, cool. We're kind of at that point for some fun happy hour questions. How about if you could have a happy hour with anybody, who would that be? Alive? Historical?
I thought about this quite a bit. And I was like, who would I say? And I have two people who in the past I would say 3 years have like really become influential in my life. So I have a life coach. Her name is Erica, and she's I've been working with her for 3 years now, and she's godsend. Love her.
Shout out to Erica.
And shout out to Erica. She introduced me to Dr. Gabor Mate. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Sounds familiar.
He studies a lot of like child psychology, psychology in general. Our world versus that kind of stuff. Very, very interesting. He's on a lot of podcasts, so you could just type him in and look him up. Very interesting. Then the other one is Dr. Barbara O'Neill. Have you heard of her?
I haven't.
So she's a naturopathic doctor, out of Australia. She's kind of gotten canceled quite a bit, like in the UK and other places because of her ideas. But I really became attached to her and her way of practicing medicine because in the past, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and kind of went through that whole journey. And obviously when that happens, you are so like, boom, 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 medicine, do this, do that. Like you're just following this protocol that however many other people follow, right? So I was like, I'm still missing this entity of like natural, how do we prevent this from happening again? How do I prevent this from happening to my daughter? And really kind of digging into that kind of stuff. And Dr. Barbara O'Neill is very like preventative. I
love that.
And she has a book called Sustain Me that I love it. It's for everything. Like any problem you might have in your body, like what can you do before you're like going to the doctor and saying like this is what's wrong. And I struggled a lot through chemotherapy with my liver. My liver was having a really hard time detoxing and stuff like that. So, I followed a lot of her protocol with that, which my numbers got better. So between those two, I mean, I don't know, it's just been I will say in the past, I was a lot more of a like celebrities, Kardashians, all this kind of stuff. Went through that phase, obviously, and now like so many life changes have happened to me in the past 5 years that I'm just much more like spiritually attracted towards people who are going to like make my life and my family's life better.
Yeah, like sustain. Like that's powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. Which then kind of led me into I then started seeing my own naturopathic doctor that coincides with my oncology team.
Good.
Bless my genetic oncologist. He was like super pro me seeing her, which you don't get those very much.
No.
And so I see Dr. Abfall down in West Bend, and she has been absolutely amazing for myself and my life. And
wow.
Yeah, it's just you don't realize how, like, obviously you put in so many toxins when it comes to cancer treatment and surgeries and things like that. And there is no entity that helps you afterwards. There's nothing. It's like, oh, you're done.
It's like the 4th trimester.
Yeah, exactly.
Have your baby and figure it out.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you're done with chemo. Okay, you're done. One more surgery. Okay, now you're done. it's like there's no, you have your follow-up appointments, but nobody's talking about, the mind, the body, the spirit as a whole.
Wow. Yeah. I started following Darren O'Lean and the Down to Earth documentaries and all of that, and the Fatal Inconveniences and the whole thing, and I'm like, okay, this is, we need to spend a little more time about this. And then my husband's like, no sunglasses? I'm like, just an experiment. Don't you worry.
The amount of rabbit holes that I have gone down in the past 3 years have been, and the very first thing that happened to me that made me question everything, I guess you could say, was we get our birthdays off here, right?
Yes, we do.
So
love that perk.
2 years ago, right before I was diagnosed with cancer, I went to go get a massage on the day of my birthday. And I just signed up with this lady. I didn't think anything of it. And she sat down with me for 45 minutes before before the massage, to just talk to me about like who I am and how I got to where I am. And we kind of talked about, I had a near-death experience or a year before that where I lost a third of my pancreas. And she looked me dead in the eye and she said to me, "Do you think that you can heal yourself?" And at the time, I was like, what is she talking about? Half of my a third of my organ died. What do you mean? I don't know how to heal myself. But then, ever since then, and starting to like dabble into these other, ideas and things that have been kind of locked down from us in life, it's like, wow, there is something to that.
Truly taking ownership of that.
There is something to that. And so much of my stuff is genetic, like 99.9% of it is genetic. So I've focused so much of like my energy on like, okay, how can we live life so that the next generation doesn't have to deal with this, so that my daughter is, growing up from a small age, not doing the things that we had no idea were a problem to us at that time. You know what I mean? So it's been eye-opening, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, and what a gift you are giving her. That's great. Anything else that you're currently doing for your happiness, your own happiness, spiritually or not?
I mean, I guess in that realm, we've really changed a lot of the way we do things. I mean, focusing on our, self-care.
Yes.
I know that term gets thrown around quite a bit and whatnot, but I mean, detoxes, sound baths, somatic breathing, grounding, like all the things that, were never talked about when we were growing up.
Not even in Bayed or...
Never.
Yeah.
And it's like, and learning to breathe correctly. Like, there's just so many things that are like the simplest things that can make our life so much better and so much easier that it's like, wow, we had no idea.
Yeah.
I got some sound baths for Christmas, or sound bowls for Christmas last year, and we do that at nighttime now, and it's remarkable how much that like calms my daughter's nervous system before bedtime.
That's awesome.
And just, integrating those little things that... we don't have to have the TV on all the time.
Yes, we have the little Yodo mini player, and I found it's like a 3 calming story thing, and it like my little guy does it, and it's awesome. Like you just hear him like breathe because it's like the bear and then like the rabbit's going like a,
Yes,
it's great.
exactly.
So the breath is like, oh my gosh, you could talk about that.
Well, it's so important too, and like teachers, I see like some of my child's teachers getting really like involved in using practices like that in school because I mean, kids don't know how to regulate their emotions, right? And that's one thing I've learned as a mom too, is like, holy cow, I didn't know how to regulate my emotions.
Yes.
So kind of like relearning those things while she's learning them has just it's been really life-changing.
Yeah, I'd say. Wow. So cool. Well, Sarah,
I do like to read too, by the way.
Yes.
I love reading.
What are you currently reading that we should be reading?
Well, I'm a big Fourth Wing series.
Oh, yes.
I like fantasy stuff.
Thick ones, right? Yeah.
But I don't know. I read all types of books. One of my favorite authors is Kristen Hanna.
Okay.
The Nightingale is like The Nightingale and the Women are like my top 2 favorite books.
Awesome.
So yeah,
write that one down. I think I mentioned this here before. I follow John Acuff as one of my favorite authors, and he's like, you should always have a book for your head and for your heart. One that really makes you think, and one that, just to feel good. But we are at our billboard question.
Ooh.
You get a billboard on Highway 41, whatever, and it can say whatever you want. Whatever color too, if you got we're talking Sherwin-Williams colors. What is your billboard?
I think, okay, color. I would for sure do pink. I used to not be a pink person. I used to be very, muted and stuff. But then after having a daughter and then having breast cancer, I was like, oh, I think pink's kind of my thing.
Absolutely.
And then I had to really think about this one because I went down a lot of avenues with it.
Yep.
But I think what I would say is life doesn't wait for you to be okay. You need to get up every day and keep pushing.
Yeah.
It's been a huge thing that I've learned the past couple years is might be a bad day, but tomorrow's going to be a better one. And you can't grovel in your sorrows.
No, I used to write that next to my bedside, like, live today in all caps.
Yes.
Because, it's just like, just strive to be the best you can, right? Because
exactly.
nobody's coming to pull you out of that bed.
Exactly.
Oh, so appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. Cheers. That is a wrap.
Cheers.
Peace and love, as Jill would say.
Peace and love.